heard of paleo, I want to talk about this a little. I think it's a major disservice to the message. I think that paleo has become sort of this identification in a way that, like vegetarians or vegans say, like, I am vegan. No, I thought your name was Nancy. You are a person who chooses not to eat meat. You are a person who eats in a specific way, but it becomes this like identification. I am paleo. And the majority of people in this country, and this is just statistically speaking, still do not believe in evolution. And, one way, shape, or form, regardless of how we were created, we've been eating in the way that the paleo movement advocates for years. So I actually like to say, hey, God is paleo too. Like, he makes meat, eats meat, like, and regardless of where it comes from, it's kind of like real food from real sources, that one ingredient foods, right? Where the food is what the food is. And this, where people get into arguments about grain yes and grain no, I think really stems from the idea that we've stepped in and we're playing God. We're creating too much of one crop or another crop or monocropping, and we're sticking our face in the way and we're sticking our hand in the pot and we're saying, let's change the situation. But if you look at the way, regardless of how you believe it came to be, it is this way. And regardless of how you believe the human body came to be, it is this way. And we've genetically modified and created frankencrops and frankenfoods that, don't agree with us. So the wheat that we have today, it's full of things that we don't agree with and we can't process. Yeah. And maybe it wasn't like that, thousands of years ago. But thousands of years ago, they couldn't process foods. They sprouted them. Yeah. So that's really true. I think that the term paleo turns off so many people because it connotates this like caveman and like evolutionary perspective of like the Neanderthal, and they're like, well, we're not Neanderthals. God created man, and he created man in this image that is, what the evolutionary people would say would be like a Homo sapien. Well, regardless of how it got to be, Homo sapiens, man, has been eating in this real sort of way, which actually, if you just eat that way, self-regulates your macros because you're not eating heavy, dense carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this? I'm kind of fascinated by this idea that people have become so identified with it. And look, I love that way of eating, but I think justifying that way of eating by saying that's the way we're evolved to eat might not even be. Might be cutting it short. I think it's the way that we're designed to eat, no matter how we were designed.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's a lot of hate, too, amongst different camps, how they identify themselves. Yeah. The vegan camp versus the paleo camp versus the flexible dieting camp. I mean, it goes all over the board. And people have some really, hateful words to say to each other. I mean, it's really surprising. Yeah. But
even organic versus non-organic.
Oh yeah, I mean, people are just like, "Oh, you're full of shit. Like organic's a bunch of crap, etc., etc." Like I don't believe anything that the government puts out, and they just give up. But I definitely agree with you. I think it's just when people look back and think about how human beings have evolved as a species, and how we've learned to develop movement patterns through what we eat, because that fuels us. How we've foraged for food, how we've survived throughout the years,
how we hunt.
It's all evident. It's apparent in everyday nature. And I think it's as simple as just eating real food. Like you were saying, we have all these weird processed crops and all these really weird monocrops and all sorts of weird things are going on. Like people are using some weird techniques to genetically modify all our food. And just think about that. Like if we've evolved from that time where we're accustomed to recognizing a certain kind of food in our body, processing it, absorbing it, eliminating it, and doing all of that, think about now incorporating all these processed foods into your diet. It's going to be recognized as a foreign particle, foreign object. So your immune system is going to react strongly And it's going to tell you in several ways, whether you have mucus in the back of your throat, you're bloated, you're constipated, you break out into hives.
Horrible gas.
Oh, horrible gas. Yeah. And for me, like my telltale sign is my skin. My skin has always been kind of like my indicator.
Right.
It's something I pay attention to very, very, very closely. And if I, like, even on New Year's, I had a sip of alcohol and I had a feeling it was grain alcohol. And I blew up. I mean, my skin just like lit up like the 4th of July. Like I could see like I have irritations on my chest, irritations on my arm. I felt itchy all over the place. Or even if I eat foods that are high in sugar, same thing. I get itchy. I kind of like my heart rate goes up. It's beating really fast. I can't breathe very well. So anyway, yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and it's really about like it just undercuts your biological signals. I mean, biology, no matter where it came from, is biology. I mean, and I don't know why we, in these different camps, we're all arguing so hard because you can't break biology. Just like you can't break physics. You just can't, right? Like if you fight gravity, you're going to lose. And it's the same way. If you have something that's artificially engineered to be super sweet, like there's a reason that sweet things attract us, because at a time when we didn't have all this chemical around us, when it was just really pure environment, those things had a very specific purpose in what they signaled in the brain. But these overloading sweet things just create such an overwhelming experience that it pushes you to have more when it's not. It doesn't know that whether that's right or not. Like it's really short-circuiting your system.
It's like cocaine. I mean, it literally is like eating sugar. And we have these reward centers in our brain, and it's primed to let us know whether what we're eating is good, or should we get more of it, or should we do less of it. And it takes me to a very interesting point. With pregnant women, they have these cravings, and they crave fat, salt, and sugar. And if they could just understand that all they really need is some potassium, some salt, some healthy fats, and some high quality vitamins and minerals, they'll feel just as good, even better, way better. So it's understanding what the body is craving and making the right association, because we're associating this immediate pleasure, this transient feeling with it's going to make us feel better, but it makes us feel better so short lived. It's like maybe a couple minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and the next thing you know, you feel like crap and you crave the same thing again. It's an endless loop.
Yeah, I actually I advocate a lot that, like the argument with macros is always going to be, there's always going to be a macro debate. And so what I mean by macros is the proportions of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And really, if you eat real foods, it really starts to regulate itself. If you take care of eating enough saturated fat such that it's creating and supporting hormones, and you're getting ample protein in your diet, because that's going to be what creates not just muscle tissue. People think like, oh, protein is for muscle. No, it's enzymes are these molecules, basically. They're made of proteins that run every reaction in your body. You can't make what's called ATP, which is the fuel source for your cells. You can't make any of that if you don't run the reactions. So in your immune system and just everything is supported by a protein.
Even transcribing your own DNA to be expressed, like you need protein. Ribosomal protein.
Yeah, I mean it's all and that's running reactions.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that our protein is on point and that our fat is on point. And then I feel like if you choose carbohydrates that are real carbohydrates, the yams, the squashes, even like rice, honestly, has been grown for thousands of years. It's a real food. I mean, like you take rice out of the patty and you don't alter it. Like it is what it is. Whereas things like breads and wheats, like you have to do something to them, right? But if you do those types of things, I feel like your body, there's only so many sweet potatoes you can eat. Like last night, Last night we made purple. Do you know what purple sweet potato is?
Oh heck yeah, I eat that all the time.
It's
like a bittery sweet.
Yeah, it's got like it's kind of got like a tangy sweet and then a bitter after finish, and it's wild. It looks like a beet, so it's purple on the outside and purple on the inside. But it's different than a Japanese sweet potato, which is like kind of purplish, maroonish on the outside and like yellowish on the inside. They're very much more starchy, but there's only so many you can eat. We took 2 kind of medium small potatoes. Purple sweet potatoes, and we made them into fries. And like Lauren ate, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of one or maybe half of one, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna polish off all these, and I gotta be honest with you, it hurt. It hurt to eat like 1.5 purple sweet potatoes like that because
there's fiber.
Well, it's fiber and it's self-regulating, so like there's no way you're gonna OD on that. So I really think that your body will end up telling you what you need. And I feel like as long as you get the fat and the protein right, then you'll know when you need carbs and when you don't, because you've done the activity that your body's like, I want carbohydrate. And when it asks you that, and when you start craving sweet potatoes, like that's a real signal. Mm-hmm. Go eat sweet potatoes. If you start craving ice cream or processed sweets, that means something's off, because you're looking toward a non-real substance, like a non-real food, or frankenfood. It's not really a food. To do something for you that you're not sure what you need. It's like you're basically confused.
And oftentimes too, like some of the reasons why you crave those kind of things could just be that you haven't slept well the night before, so you're stressed. You're under the stress load, and now you're associating a previous experience, ooh, ice cream feels good, with this stressed experience from no sleep. And so, of course, you're going to crave that ice cream. But if you're able to recognize in that moment in time that all you probably may need is maybe some breath work, some good nutrients, some good movement work in the gym, and some relaxation, some recuperation, some rejuvenation, it would change the entire game for you. You probably wouldn't even crave that anymore.
Yeah, actually one thing about not getting like one bad night's sleep, like really bad night's sleep, actually disrupts your blood sugar and the processing to such a dramatic degree that you actually will register. You can confuse tests as being diabetic or pre-diabetic, because you become so insulin insensitive that you're craving these carbohydrates that you can't do anything with, and your body is so, the chemistry is so thrown off from like a bad night of sleep, that you're right, you're craving something sweet, but it's not even going to do the job. And anytime I have a bad night of sleep, my policy now is I almost go keto that day. I almost go zero carb, because I want to restore my body's sense. I do a lot of MCT oil, which is medium chain triglycerides. They're basically you have 3 lengths of fats, right? You have short chain fats, medium chain fats, and long chain fats. And the mediums come from like coconut oil, but I take one that's actually like concentrated from coconut oil to get a higher percentage. Fats, shorts come from like butter, and longs come from like olive oils and avocados, but and nuts. But what I do is I focus on those things, because I don't want to give myself something that it's confused that it wants, because I had a bad night's sleep, and my insulin sugar balance, and I guess understanding with my body is just completely misunderstood. Like my body doesn't understand why they aren't relating to each other, and why I look like I'm diabetic.
Yeah, I think too. There's so many macronutrient calculators and ways to calculate percentages of how many carbohydrates and fats and proteins you should have, and I think it gets really confusing. There's so much information out there, and people don't know how to sift through the information. And I think something like this, something we're proposing, where we're asking people, requesting people, or inviting people to really immerse themselves in the experience of quality food, and foods that we have been meant to eat since the dawn of times, the dawn of mankind, I think is really uncomfortable, because you're asking them to experience and get in touch with their selves, with their entire bodies, with their entire their beings. And I think that's a very scary thought. And oftentimes a lot of clients, when I mention this to them, they get afraid. They become really, really scared. And of course, we talk about implementing small habits. One